Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into the rich and often overlooked story of women in American history. From the colonial era to the present day, women have played essential roles in shaping the nation. Let's explore how their contributions have evolved over time. In the early colonial era, life was harsh, and women's roles were primarily confined to the domestic sphere. They managed households, raised children, and supported their families through farming, sewing, and other essential tasks. While their labor was critical for survival, women had limited rights and were largely excluded from formal political and economic power. Despite these restrictions, women found ways to influence their communities. Figures like Anne Hutchinson challenged the status quo in the 17th century by advocating for religious freedom and questioning patriarchal authority in Puritan Massachusetts. Her courage paved the way for future generations to challenge oppressive systems. The American Revolution marked a turning point for women. While they couldn't fight on the front lines, women contributed in numerous ways. Figures like Abigail Adams urged their husbands to remember the ladies when drafting the new nation's laws. Meanwhile, women like Deborah Sampson disguised themselves as men to fight, and others served as spies, nurses, and supporters of the war effort. This period sparked discussions about women's rights and their role in society. The 19th century saw the rise of the women's suffrage movement. Women like Elizabeth Cady Stanton, Susan B. Anthony, and Sojourner Truth became leading voices advocating for equal rights. The Seneca Falls Convention of 1848 was a landmark event, issuing the Declaration of Sentiments that called for women's right to vote and equal treatment under the law. While progress was slow, this movement laid the foundation for future advancements. During the Civil War, women's roles expanded further. They managed farms and businesses in the absence of men, served as nurses on battlefields, and organized aid societies to support soldiers. Clara Barton, who later founded the American Red Cross, emerged as a symbol of women's strength and compassion during this time. The early 20th century brought the Progressive Era, a time of social reform and activism. Women's clubs and organizations pushed for improvements in education, labor rights, and public health. This activism culminated in the passage of the 19th Amendment in 1920, granting women the right to vote. However, it's important to note that many women of color continued to face barriers to voting despite this victory. World War II brought another significant shift. With millions of men deployed overseas, women entered the workforce in unprecedented numbers, taking on roles in factories, offices, and the military. The image of Rosie the Riveter became an enduring symbol of women's contributions to the war effort. This experience demonstrated women's capabilities beyond traditional gender roles and set the stage for future demands for workplace equality. The mid-20th century saw the emergence of the modern feminist movement. Figures like Betty Friedan, Gloria Steinem, and Shirley Chisholm advocated for gender equality in education, employment, and politics. The passage of landmark legislation, such as Title IX and the Equal Pay Act, marked significant victories. However, the struggle for equal rights continued as women sought greater representation and autonomy. In recent decades, women have broken barriers across various fields, from becoming CEOs of major corporations to serving as Supreme Court justices and astronauts. Women have demonstrated their ability to excel in any arena. Movements like Me Too have also brought attention to issues of harassment and inequality, highlighting the ongoing challenges women face. Today, women's roles in America are as diverse as the nation itself. While progress has been made, the journey is far from over. Issues like the gender pay gap, reproductive rights, and representation in leadership remain at the forefront of discussions about equality. As we reflect on the history of women in America, it's clear that their contributions have been vital to the nation's development. From the colonial era to the present, women have fought for their rights, challenged societal norms, and enriched the fabric of American life. Their stories remind us that progress is always possible when we strive for equality and justice. Thank you for watching History Revealed. If you enjoyed this exploration of women's history, please like, subscribe, and share this video. Let us know in the comments which stories you'd like us to uncover next. Until next time, keep exploring the past to understand the present.